This story begins with rulers who have designed institutional networks to protect their assets and resources, have to find a way to track and monitor each individual. It would be foolish indeed to think that the few wealthy and powerful families and individuals throughout history have not maintained this status in today's modern age. In fact, statistics are clear. Given this information, one must only choose to put themselves in another's shoes to view the situation from their perspective. Wealthiest people on the planet. Well, what would our life consist of? Whatever we want. And so the only logical reaction to this fact is to protect oneself and one's wealth and one's way of life from any threats. That it is more of an emotional burden on one to lose property rather than to gain. If you have a spring of water in your backyard and your neighbors do not have this resource, and so every day they come to you and they say, "Friend, let us do a service for you so that we may get a bucket of water." And you say, "Sure." After a while, you're living pretty decent. Your house looks fantastic. The neighbors' houses, not so. You're taking vacations. You're even beginning to buy out the lots of your neighbors and renting it back to them. All because you have possession of that spring of water. Well, the same thing has occurred today, except all the resources have been contained within what is known as the supply chain. This supply chain consists of everything from the mine to the shelf. That includes all the protection to secure those goods and services. This would be the rule of Babylonian law for intellectual property protection, to hire mercenaries. This includes the numerous sales personnel, marketing, accounting, management of each and every company. It is a network. it is a network that few individuals thoroughly understand. And those individuals, surprise, are the agents of this network. Much of the productivity of the Babylonians has been derived from free labor. As an example, convicts, universities, as well as new activities presented as entertainment on digital devices. This way, they have maximized acceptance for their practices among the public. And these individuals that conduct their affairs are sometimes known as supervisors. If we think about a plantation, and if we recall from the writings of Frederick Douglass, that the slave master was seldom seen. And when the slave master came around, he often came with a smile. And he asked his slaves, "How are you?" The supervisor was merely carrying out the orders of his superior. Today, as this plantation model has evolved, these slave masters still hire supervisors to be the faces of their operations, one of which is to put a chip into your brain. As in most every AI-based product, the chip is presented as fashionable. Now, you may have seen talk about this. Maybe you visited a website. Maybe you went to a YouTube video. And what feeling were you left with? Perhaps doubt. A new Babylonian entity called Neuralink, reportedly started by a man called Elon Musk. Elon Musk is also reportedly the founder of Tesla Motors, a car company based in California, USA. Because of his involvement with special training, the details surrounding Mr. Musk's past are murky. However, we do know that in the 1990s, Mr. Musk was approached to start a company which would later be called PayPal. This carefully crafted and militarily connected scheme involving intellectual property was to further advance the position of the same few individuals at the expense of the rest of populations. Shortly thereafter, he was partnered in what may be more than one way with a man named Peter Thiel. Through established institutional frameworks, he has been actively promoting his benefactor's cause over the last decade. Once reaching billionaire status, communication agencies become readily available for continuous propagation through public relation campaigns. Talking about a man who supposedly started a company called PayPal that is necessary to do most buying and selling over the internet. The partner of which for this venture is a man known as Peter Thiel. Some know Mr. Thiel as one of the premium investors and initial founders in the company known as FaceCrook. They may have been partners in more ways than one. These are the Babylonian faces that make up the dream team of Babylon. They are merely faces. As the Christ stated, even the kings of the earth have their benefactors. The work of these individuals has been at the behest of their investors, as many entrepreneurs can attest. Who are the investors? Well, if they chose to be known, they would have started the company themselves. But these characters merely fill in a gap that is meant to protect the identity of the real money behind these ventures. It is just as the scripture had prophesied, that no man would buy or sell save he received the mark of the beast. Mr. Elon Musk is now currently promoting the chip through fear, saying, if you do not take this, you will not keep up with the machine. And this mark comes in the form of a nanochip. As in its predecessors, the chip provides for economic advantage. Man is rapidly working towards this objective. You may recall a few years ago a project introduced called the Brain Initiative to provide for research and development for this company at the expense of federal tax. Many other corporations were involved in having their government take your money. This is the reasoning behind the multiple annual conferences that occur in secret. Here are some of the players on the Neuralink team. In addition, a man known as Brian Johnson emerges, having recently sold his brain chip company to Neuralink for $800 million. Whether these individuals are contracted through governmental intelligence agencies or not, the evidence is clear. They all work towards the same end.